set up already.
Всем привет. Я очень рад тебя видеть.
And now in English, my love.
Hello, everybody. It's fun speaking Russian. I really enjoyed learning it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a very cool class, and let's start with the motivation. I don't know, maybe we should start doing prayers in Tibetan or the very least in English. So just close your eyes and think about your problems in your life. Feel this fatigue, how tired you are to deal with all these problems. I don't want them anymore. And make a wish that everything that you will hear here in this class would help you to stop all your problems, make you absolutely happy, and absolutely means it will never stop. And make a wish that you would be able to help other people to do the same, become absolutely happy, stop all their sufferings. And then think to yourself that it is actually possible, because I am devoid of any self-nature. My body and my mind are coming from mental seeds, from my previous actions, previous words and thoughts. And there is a path that I walk, and it works. There are people who did it. And so I can do it. Go back to your breathing, open your eyes. Okay, now we are ready for the class. You want to start with this is my favorite class. I know it's stupid because like all the classes are favorite, but it's kind of true.
Well, I don't know about favorite class. You know, course 6, class 6 was pretty good.
Okay, that's true.
But this one has some really cool ideas, right? Like a lot of this stuff. Almost every class has some kind of like idea that once you get it in your head, it will stay there and change the way you view your world and change the way and change what you think is possible. It's fun. This is it's exciting. I love this stuff. I like it in the original Tibetan form that we're getting it, but
actually it's not the original Tibetan form.
Okay,
they didn't have homeworks.
The bridge form that we have, right? It's like a bridge between the Tibetan culture and the American culture. But people want it now. Anyway, well, that's a different subject. So this question is the definition of nirvana. I'll read it here specifically so I get it exactly right. Nirvana is defined as the permanent cessation in which one has eliminated the mental affliction obstacles in their entirety due to one's individual analysis, right? And so nirvana is not enlightenment, right? They're two totally separate things. Nirvana means that you've eliminated your mental afflictions. And you'll hear them say that there are 84,000 mental afflictions. And I've seen Geshe talk about it as if that were literal, but frankly, I have my doubts because 84,000 is a common number used in Indian text. You'll see it over and over again. Like there were 84,000 types of torture, or there are 84,000 soldiers, or there were 84,000. Well, I think they used it, they clearly were using 84,000 in India the same way that Americans would say a ton. Oh, like I've got a ton of work to do. Well, you don't really have 2,000 pounds of work to do, right? And so I think it's
they also say we have 84,000 little channels in our body.
Yeah, so they'll so I don't, maybe it's literal. I will say maybe. But you'll see it used in the older Indian writings quite frequently, 84,000. But you're getting rid of them each individually after you've had the direct perception of emptiness, right? Before you've had the direct perception of emptiness, you can get quite far at reducing your mental afflictions. You can't eliminate them entirely until you can't have a permanent cessation, right? Like a permanent stopping until you've had the direct perception of emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
And so of the 84,000, when you first have the direct perception of emptiness, you're really only going to get rid of 2 or 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you've got to go back and keep working on it to eliminate them.
I think it's doubts in these teachings and thinking that things are self-existent and
belief in
harm,
belief in wrong worldviews.
Bad capacity to follow bad worldviews, like when you have to harm your body with some kind of higher goal.
Yeah, there was the example that gets used in our courses of a wrong worldview would be either to deny that cause and effect works, but there are also wrong religious paths where, like in India, there were some bizarre paths where like somebody would jump off a cliff and try and impale themselves on a trident in the 3 correct spots, and somehow that was going to get them enlightened. And so you won't believe in wrong paths anymore after the direct perception of emptiness. And so the difference between nirvana, the cessation of mental afflictions, and enlightenment, with nirvana, you're at peace, but you're not omniscient, right? Like you still have obstacles, subtle obstacles to omniscience. And when you're enlightened, you're fully omniscient.
It is very important to understand that there is a difference between nirvana and total enlightenment.
They say that if you actually achieve nirvana, it can be a bit of a trap because it's pleasant, and so you can just disappear for eons in that pleasantness. And they say at some point you'll end up having to come out of that pleasantness and achieve total enlightenment, full enlightenment.
They say Buddhas will come and they will make you work hard.
like a kid sleeping in bed, they're going to make you get up and go to school.
So let's review again the definition. It's permanent cessation, permanent and total cessation of your mental afflictions based on your individual analysis, right? Mm-hmm. So try to imagine, why don't we do it actually really? Sit up straight, close your eyes, and do just several exhales, inhales to sorry. Yeah. To bring your mind in here and now. Just follow your breathing, your exhales and inhales a couple of times. And think about great seeds that you're planting right now by listening, translating, recording, being a volunteer for these ACI classes. And think about the moment in your future when the seeds will ripen and you will reach something that is called nirvana. You will go beyond your mental afflictions forever. They will never be back. How would you feel if you will lose your capacity to feel any kind of anger forever? No seeds cannot feel anger. Any kind of fear, jealousy stopped. Any unpleasant feeling, guilt, shame, hatred, irritation. You cannot be bored anymore because it's also a mental affliction, which is negative emotion. Anything that your mind perceives brings you happiness and pleasure and bliss. Every sound, every touch, everything you see, every taste, anything you can feel or think about brings you just more and more bliss. You feel so blissful that it is not possible to hold it even in your body. You want to share it. And remember this feeling. Go back to your breathing. Open your eyes.
Yeah, anything that disturbs your mind, anything is a mental affliction, right?
You're reading my mind. I just was thinking, oh, we should probably give it the definition.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, right? That you can be free of anything that disturbs your mind.
So this is a very profound idea. Anything that makes your mind decline from the natural happiness is a mental affliction.
Mhm.
It is not true that our mind should be neutral. It is not true that our mind should reach happiness. Once you just stop your mental afflictions. This is what happens to your mind, as you probably could feel in this short meditation.
So they're saying in the definition of nirvana that we're eliminating our mental afflictions due to the individual analysis. Do you want to talk about individual analysis?
Yeah, okay. I actually a little bit slower.
Okay, slower.
We
I
try.
thought we were doing a better job, but
We do our best, but we still have to learn to be even better. Okay, so individual analysis. It refers to a person's realizations after you will see emptiness directly, and I mean, you can test, right, other people if they have seen emptiness directly or not, whether they did perceive this for truth, for Arya truth. So the first truth is truth about suffering. You realize for the first time that everything is suffering, either immediate suffering that you feel right now, like my sore throat, or it will be a suffering because I will lose something that I love, or the fact that any time in this cyclic life where I don't have any control on my seeds, I don't know what will ripen the next moment. At any time I can meet any possible suffering. So this is the first Arya truth. The second is that there is a cause. It's not just because I planted seeds to suffer and I misunderstand the reality, right? Then third Arya truth is that there is an end of this suffering. I will exhaust them at some point in future, right? And they say that you will see the moment when you will become a Buddha, you will know that you will have a different name, etc. So, and the fourth Arya truth is that there is a path that I will walk, and I will become this enlightened being. So if somebody had this direct perception, necessarily they will have this experience of four Arya truths, the wisdom of the aftermath, so-called. And with these four Arya truths, your individual analysis starts, right?
and just a couple more words on that. You'll see four Arya truths, which is Geshe Michael's translation.
Mhm.
A lot of times in other texts, they'll call it the Four Noble Truths.
Mhm.
That's not a particularly good translation. There's nothing ignoble about other truths.
Not just about Aryas.
Yeah, and so it's really it's the point is that there's these four truths that you see after the direct perception of emptiness, and it goes on for about 24 hours after you've had the direct perception of emptiness. These things happen, and each one of those four, it's interesting. We'll talk about it in more depth in another class, but each one of those four things, that life is suffering, there's a cause for the suffering, that it's possible to end suffering, and that there's a path to the end of suffering. Each one of those has a whole series of other realizations inside of that category. And it's really interesting to see to see what they are. And when you're around meditators, interesting things happen when you learn how to meditate deeply. Interesting things happen. And then if you're around a large group of meditators, I've seen it where people will say, "Oh, well, I had the direct perception of emptiness," and you're like, "Well, okay." Did you see the four Arya truths? And then usually afterwards they'll say, "Oh, well, no, I didn't have that." Well, if you didn't have the four Arya truths, if you didn't go through that experience, you didn't have the direct perception of emptiness. And and the other way you can tell if somebody's had the direct perception of emptiness. Is you can see it in their behavior. They'll have an extraordinary control over their mental afflictions, right? Like I've seen Geshe Michael in extreme circumstances. I've never seen him get angry. They might be wrathful, which is different than angry, right? Like they can have a angry seeming mode to scare you into doing something protective. But I've never seen Geshe Michael actually angry. And again, I've seen him in some very, very difficult circumstances and completely just calm. So the four Arya truths.
I think a little bit more about wrathful and angry.
Mhm.
The difference you may hear from Geshe Michael or from other teachers the expression tough love.
Mhm.
Or maybe you heard from Geshe Michael, you heard him saying that his teacher would treat him bad. I mean, he would criticize him. I remember once he was telling us the story about him bringing once his ACI students to Ken Rinpoche. Oh, no, not ACI students. People from his diamond company wanted to meet Ken Rinpoche.
Undine in New York.
Undine International, yeah. I think including Lama Pelma.
Okay.
So he brought them to Ken Rinpoche and he had to leave for a while. And he said, like, don't really believe what he says because he always criticizes me. So he will say that I'm just, stupid. And
Ken Rinpoche had the reputation for being wrathful. He was kind of tough. Yeah, he was more like, I was able to study with him for 3 years, and he reminded me of an American high-level CEO, the chief executive officer, the president of a large company. They can be, tough, right? Like
opinionated.
Yeah. They're you're not going to go in
president.
there. Yeah, you're not going to walk into the office of a CEO of a major corporation and push him around, right? Very powerful,
strong presence.
strong, yeah.
Yeah, so
And he wasn't tall, he was like about this tall, but still very powerful.
And interesting, Bill was telling me how he met him, and I was thinking, wow, it's exactly how Geshe Michael was describing the meeting. Like, for a second, you see, okay, a Tibetan guy, like obviously Asian, not very tall, like kind of, quite strong, but
thick. He was
thick, yeah. And the next moment he looks at you, he starts talking, and then you feel like he is growing, and you look at him like this. Oh, wow. So why I was talking about it, that he was telling the story. He invited people to meet Ken Rinpoche. And he says, like, he's criticizing me, so don't really listen to him. Like, he's in such a mood always. And then he left and he was able to come once the audience was over of his co-workers with Ken Rinpoche. And of course, they were impressed with him. And he said, you are his best student, and he never had anybody like you. So, and it was sincere, right? But sometimes teachers, they show you that tough love because they mostly want to work on your mental afflictions. Now you know why, because they want you to reach nirvana. And maybe you have anger issues or jealousy issues or whatever issues you have. Probably you will see your teachers, your closest people, mirroring this issue to you. Your seeds are ripening, and you see them behaving in a way that you think, oh, this is inappropriate. My husband should not be, I don't know what, mean to me or yell at me, or my wife should not be jealous, right? So just think about it. And the wrathful behavior is different from angry behavior, because when I'm angry, I'm serving my own mental afflictions. I'm actually cherishing them. I love them and I water them, you know. Basically, I reinvest in my bad behavior and negative emotions, and I will have more of them in future. Like, I had conflicts, I will be more angry, and the conflicts will be bigger, you know, like maybe the war will start or something. So, and wrathful is totally different, because wrathful means they love you. It's like a mother whose child jumped out, I don't know, in the street in front of the car, and she's like, caught the child and never do it again, you know. Not because she does not love the child, but because she should stop the child to hurt themselves, right? So this is the same, like you may see this type of behavior from your teachers when they want either to stop you, or they want to teach you a lesson, or they want to mirror you, your qualities.
Yeah, anger specifically is being happy when something bad happens to somebody else. Oh, okay.
Or
they're
willing.
Yeah, they're undergoing something that's unpleasant, and I'm happy about it, or I want them to undergo something that's unpleasant. And there's nothing wrathful behavior is trying to keep people from hurting themselves. So very different.
Yeah, out of love.
Right, completely the opposite.
Okay, so basically that was for the individual analysis.
Yeah, so the four Arya truths, the individual analysis. Yeah.
Next, why do we have in the definition this mental affliction stuff, right? You will stop all your mental afflictions. And specifically two types, right? There are two types of obstacles. We will stop all obstacles to nirvana by stopping mental afflictions. But generally, to become a Buddha, we need to stop two types. We had it already in ACI 1, I think. First type is obstacles to total enlightenment, like mostly obstacles to
omniscience.
To omniscience, right?
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. For nirvana, you have to get rid of your mental afflictions. For total enlightenment, you still have subtle obstacles for gaining omniscience.
Basically related to our ignorance, misunderstanding of the reality, how it works.
Yeah. So mental affliction obstacles and obstacles for omniscience.
Yeah.
So nirvana, total enlightenment.
So the obstacles for to reach nirvana are called neon drip. Very famous expression, and this is what keeps you from becoming this being who's totally happy, not yet omniscient, but already totally free of any mental afflictions. I mean, forever. Wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah, and you can see it makes sense, right? Like the suffering that you're seeing in every living being is your own mental projection, right? And so then if you just achieve nirvana for yourself, but you left the other people suffering, but that's still your mind. That's your mind that is projecting the suffering onto other living beings. And so you still have something to clean up. And it also, if you're projecting everybody, then it's not crazy that you could understand them and know everything about them. It's kind of crazy that you can't, right? They're your projections. And so, why do I not have access to the full knowledge of my projections, right? I mean, that's some ignorance that's blocking people from reaching Buddhahood.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool because when I was at my medical university, I was thinking that, there are normal people who can use their sense powers, like my eyes, my ears, like smell things, touch, etc. And like everything else you actually cannot feel. I mean, my feelings, sensations, actually, not feelings, my feelings are limited with my body, right? And that's it. And other people, they are making up when they think, oh, I can feel what you feel, or I can read somebody else's mind, because you already noticed Bill's favorite subject, that mind does not come from brain. I mean, obviously, a thing that is transparent and aware cannot come from a substantial material thing that is just, a piece of something.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's evidence out there you can look at and like, oh, okay, well, it's not just theoretical. You can see things that are, clearly telling us that your brain isn't producing your mind, and so that's a pretty big clue that this path is aware of something that most of the 20th century intellectuals weren't.
I can share my experience because after my medical university, I had I was writing my PhD thesis, and it was in between pediatrics and psychosomatic medicine or psychotherapy, let's say. So I needed to get psychotherapeutical background also, which I didn't have. And I spent
Slow down.
Oh, okay. Over 10 years studying different psychotherapy approaches. And at some point, I started to notice something very funny, that it looks like I can feel like I didn't have many clients because I was always working either as a medical doctor or at the chair of pediatrics, or then I got involved into clinical trials with big pharmaceutical companies. But I always would have some kind of some number of people in psychotherapy with me. And I started to notice that I feel better and better, like I really can tell what's going on with them, right? So if you have this strong desire to help other people, then you start to feel what they feel. And it's nothing, it's kind of magical and not magical. I would say magical and logical. Because it is magical, comparing to what you were able to do before. But there is a logic why it happens, right? You really have this desire, strong desire to help. And then you constantly plant seeds to try to, you try to help another person. You try again, you study, you try again, and then, the seed ripens and you think, oh, I know how to help this person. I know their issue, So it is something that anybody can develop.
Yeah. You'll see it when you're around practitioners that are meditating and they're working on their compassion. It's not really all that rare. You'll see people that can read your mind, and they're quite clearly doing it. And that happens long before you have the direct perception of emptiness. And again, it makes sense if you're projecting what you're seeing of the people around you. It's understandable that you
just feel your seeds.
Yeah, that you're going to know what they're thinking, right? And yeah, so it makes sense. It's not really mystical. It's logical.
It's magical and logical.
Yeah, both, right?
And I think those of you who are parents, they may probably relate to it, because when a child is like 1 week old, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, they don't speak, right? But somehow mom, she always somehow knows what the child needs. Like, cannot be the fact if your consciousness and your mind are produced by your physical brain, right?
Yeah.
Or if you will close your eyes and they will tell you, imagine you are, I don't know, at your work, then imagine you are at your job, then now think about your first day when you entered your school, and your mind is capable of switching, like in your mind, you can travel all these places. So I think that's it for this question.
For that question, one last question to go. Almost done.
One last question, but very cool one.
Very cool. Очень круто.
Очень крутой.
Krutoy. Очень крутой. Yeah, Russian has all kinds of endings. There are 400 different endings that you can use in the Russian language to change the function of the word. And I think I know about 10 of them.
Oh, you're doing great.
It's a beautiful language, but very complex. Очень крутой.
Okay. So there is a word or expression that you will see in the books. And to be honest, it took me a while to understand why Geshe Michael decided to talk about it, because it looks like out of context in the class. And the term that is discussed is natural nirvana, and has, let's say, almost nothing to do with nirvana. You will understand why. So natural, yeah, tell me.
No, but I think it does have something to do with nirvana. But
It does,
but
but
go ahead.
it is not nirvana.
No, it's not nirvana, but it's
has nothing to do with the definition that we have just given.
But yeah, there's a connection.
There is a connection, right? So natural nirvana is just another word, another term to speak about emptiness, right?
The direct perception of emptiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, or emptiness itself, yes.
Yeah, emptiness. Ranshin Nyande. And the reason why Geshe Michael decided to talk about it, because you will read books. A lot of these books are being now translated by the best translators team ever, Diamond Cutter Classics, and we are volunteers in this project, and we help Geshe Michael to fundraise for the region Europe, North America mainly. And you can hear in this project when they translate, you can see this term at many instances. So if you see this not just Nyande, which is a word for nirvana, by the way, we didn't tell you. Nyande. If you see natural nirvana, which is Ranshin Nyande, it is not about nirvana. It is about emptiness. So how they are connected, my love?
Yeah, this is this is interesting. So emptiness, like we've said before, there's nothing in emptiness that has the nature of suffering, right? It's there are no labels, and every label that you have before the direct perception of emptiness, this is related to the truth of suffering, right? Of the four Arya truths we talked about earlier. The first truth is the truth of suffering. And then part of that is that, and this is called the truth of utility, but prior to the direct perception of emptiness, excuse me, you've never had a single thought that wasn't corrupted with selfishness. There was some part of it that was black, some part that was white. But even your most pure action had some bit of stain on it, some bit of negative aspect to it. And so when you're emptiness, there are no labels like that. There is nothing suffering about emptiness. It's an absence. It's completely free of suffering. And so in that sense, it happens naturally, right? That emptiness is automatically, naturally free from suffering. And nirvana is a freedom from mental afflictions, right? A freedom from
permanent cessation.
A permanent cessation of the mental afflictions that are causing your suffering. So they are related like that. It makes sense. It's
yeah, when you see natural nirvana, which is a direct perception of emptiness, then because of that, you can reach your real nirvana in the future if you will analyze your life and compare it with these four Arya truths that that you have perceived or realized after seeing emptiness directly.
And when you're in that direct perception of emptiness, you do not have any mental afflictions during that experience. You can't have mental afflictions during that experience, during the direct perception of emptiness. If you did, you would automatically not be in the direct perception of emptiness, because that would be a conceptual label. And there's nothing conceptual about emptiness, right? It's the blank screen. And so if there's something on it, some mental label, it's automatically not the blank screen.
And there are two things that I want to discuss that are practical here. First thing is the sense of guilt that not so popular in Western society, but very popular in Eastern countries, except Tibet, because strange enough, in Tibet there is no word to define the guilt. There is no word guilt in Tibetan language. The closest they have is to do something that will be harmful for you. So it is very important, because if you understand this natural nirvana thing correctly, I mean, even the biggest suffering is empty. I mean, it should not be this way. It can be anything, right? So we tend to feel guilty in Eastern countries, and this is a complete misunderstanding of how the reality works. If you are guilty, your bad seed, if really you did something wrong, then you have this bad seed, and it will ripen. Once it ripened, that's it. No more seed anymore. I mean, this understanding helps you not to get stuck with negative emotions, even long before you reach nirvana. Just the correct understanding of natural nirvana. And the second thing is many people who are like me, I remember when I was listening to this class, I was thinking, wow, that's horrible, because I didn't see emptiness directly. It means really I will have to plant these dirty black-white seeds, like I don't know for how long, and even I meditate every day, even I do yoga, so like I work on my channels not to have energy like of anger or desire stuck anywhere. Even in this case, I still can have mental afflictions at any moment of time until I will see emptiness directly and reach nirvana. It's true. Even you work a lot on your mental afflictions, you cannot stop them permanently until you will get to this point, and everything great happens in the meditation. And they say that not only seeing emptiness directly, but every next bodhisattva levels, like transformation happens with the meditation. And but there is one tool that can be really helpful, and this is why in my life I love the picture of John Wayne. First time I came here to see Bill when we just started dating. I have seen the guy, if you know Andy Warhol painting of John Wayne with the gun, you know. And I was like, wow, why do you have such a scary painting, you know? And now I love this painting, because every time I look at John Wayne with the gun, I think, okay, that's me. And I'm thinking about my mental afflictions, like, you know, if you will move, I will hit the trigger. Right?
Pull the trigger.
I will pull the trigger. Don't move, because I'm watching, I'm observing.
Kill my mental afflictions.
I will kill any mental affliction I have. Unfortunately, this is the way that you can work with your mental afflictions. There are more funny ways, like, okay, can I share a funny way? No, he is afraid when we are doing like courses for people outside the ACI community. I'm horrified when he says, to be completely honest, and I think, oh, no, there will be something really deep. Okay. First, you can work on your mental afflictions when you do your 6 times book, because you remind yourself again and again, like at the very least 6 times a day. But actually 6 times a book does not mean maximum 6 times. It actually means minimum 6 times. So this is the first idea, right? To observe you, to stop this negative influence in your life, you need to know where your wandering dog, which is your mind, where it wanders around in the universe right now, and keep it from dangerous places, you know, like, okay, don't go there, don't go here, go there, okay, this is the way. And also be gentle with it, because you know, it's just a dog. I mean, our mind is not as now is not yet a Buddha mind, so we need to be gentle and not to provoke any sabotage from its side, right? And the second thing is when you wash something, or okay, sorry for the expression, but you go to the toilet, for example, you can talk to yourself. I'm getting rid of all my mental afflictions right now, like I'm purifying it, cleaning, leaving them behind. And if you will get into a habit to do anything that is related to making something clean or get rid, maybe you are taking trash out or something like that, then it can create a lot of powerful seeds, because you are in a habit, and habit makes everything very powerful. Okay, now close your eyes. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's it. That's all the formal questions that we have to cover. There's obviously a lot more in ACI to go over, but we're not going to get it done today.
Yeah, let's close officially the class, and we can stay for like 8 minutes to do questions and answers. If you have any questions, please write down in the chat. And also, we would like to say that ACI is looking for volunteers. So if you want to help ACI, if you are grateful for these teachings, you either can become a volunteer or you can donate. Then we will, I don't know, Lena, could you please also put a donation link? Yeah.
And maybe a link for Swansea Tower also.
There was already.
Okay, did you guys get that already? Great.
Yeah, these 3 things are important. If you want to reinvest in your seeds. The only reason I think I could finish my ACI courses, I started to translate. From the very first class I came, I started to be a translator, and I was doing homeworks that you can see in Telegram chat ACI together. It still exists, it is still active. So you may want to plant powerful seeds to continue to be interested in this teaching. So volunteers, donation, not to us, to ACI headquarters, and come to join us at the Schwanzen Tower program. These 3 are very powerful.
And please do your homeworks. Do them soon. You'll need to do them to go to the higher teachings, and
higher teachings are fun.
Yeah, they're
cool. I mean, you think these teachings are cool? Wait.
But these teachings are cool. But yeah, then the application of these teachings will come later, and it's really it's cool. It's fun.
You will understand how you really can reach it within one lifetime.
Yeah, you want it. So please do your work. Okay. Please learn the material.
So close your eyes and remember. Close your eyes and think about your motivation for this class, and try to get it as high as possible. Like, I really want to become a bodhisattva. I really want to get enlightened, reach nirvana, then get enlightened, become happy myself, and be able to help every single living being. Somehow they are countless, but if emptiness and seeds are true, then I will be able to help every single one of them. Think about your gratitude to teachers of this lineage. And open your eyes. You can be free now. People who have questions, they can ask questions.
We'll stay for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, about 5 minutes we have, because we are running early. Okay. Okay, a very good question. By the way, I will be grateful if somebody can translate questions, because I need to translate on the fly. Fortunately, I speak Russian. How about my own husband? Does he see myself from his own side, that I'm also empty and I'm his projection and his seeds? Is it correct to understand? You want to talk about it?
Oh, you'll drive yourself nuts trying to figure out what other people see or don't see or know or don't know. Even if you can read their mind, you don't know why they're thinking those thoughts.
No, I mean, she asks for her husband. Does she come from his seeds?
Oh,
yes.
Okay, well, yeah, his experience of the husband's experience of the wife is going to be his seeds.
Mhm.
The wife's experience of the husband are going to be her seeds. So it's entirely possible that one of you could be experiencing the other person as an angel, and the other person could be experiencing
Himself as quite ordinary.
quite ordinary, right?
There is no contradiction if you really understand these teachings deeply. Then can you have great seeds to see your world as paradise, and another being in this world does not see it as a paradise? Yeah, absolutely.
Is the discussion of the water and the three ways that the fluid can be, is that an ACI one?
I think it's
later, isn't it?
It's in this course, probably.
Is it? Well, there's a classic example in the ACI teachings is that, and I'll just do it briefly without going through the whole thing.
Just don't do it quickly.
Yeah, I'll have to briefly, not quickly, right? So if you have a fluid, three different beings could see it three different ways. A hungry ghost could see that fluid as blood and pus. A human could see that fluid as water, and a Buddha could see it as the nectar of deathlessness, right? And so it's the same material basis, but all three beings are seeing something very, very different based on their projection, right? It's the same blank screen, but each one of the beings is projecting a different image onto that screen. And so it's going to be exactly the same with people. People function the same way as water does. It's going to depend on what they're projecting, what the wife is projecting onto the husband, what the husband is projecting onto the wife.
I think one of the best examples is in the sutra for Vimalakirti Sutra. There is a sutra that is being translated by Diamond Cutter Classics. I hope we will see the translation maybe next year or in a couple of years. And unfortunately, I didn't attend all the classes, but I remember, sometimes like you really bump into a class that changes your just mind blows away. And there was a class, just the beginning of this sutra. So Buddha Shakyamuni decided to tell the story. It's even not the story itself. He decided to tell a story, and there was a monk who was usually quite smart and would play positive role. I think it was Shariputra. And the guy even didn't say anything. He just had one stupid thought, and he was horribly criticized for that. Because other beings, they were able to read his mind. So the thought was like, Buddha Shakyamuni, didn't you do the job here on the earth? They say that you were like trying to work on it like for billions of years, but kind of I still see some crap. Like, didn't you do the job? Are you actually enlightened? And because everybody would see this thought in his mind, Buddha Shakyamuni decided to make a point out of it. And they say he moved his toe on his right or left, I don't remember, foot. And everybody around him have seen something totally different from what they were seeing before. This monk Shariputra, he has seen himself sitting on a high throne, sitting on a lotus, and the throne was made of jewels and gold and, you know, diamonds, and he has seen like the earth actually is the paradise he was talking about. And then the Buddha, Shakyamuni, he moved again his toe, and everything became normal again. And he said, the way you see the world is not an error or mistake made by Sugatas, I mean, by enlightened being, meaning work on your seeds and you will see it in totally as totally different as a paradise, because it's a projection onto a blank screen. We can project something beautiful, we can project something very shitty, like hell realms, right? There's another question.
1:30.
Okay, we will do this question. The question came up during a debate with my husband. Why do the leaders of this world do bad things? It is clear that all the secret knowledge of this and not only this world is revealed to them. I'm not sure. But what do they know that they are not afraid to continue to do such monstrous things? You want to answer this one, Noah?
Yeah, it's a variation of the
Actually, where do they come from? This is
yeah,
my question.
yeah.
To whom?
Where do they come from? The evil that I'm seeing in the world leaders, you know, gosh, America's having its problems, right? Other countries are having their problems quite famously.
Mhm.
And all of that is coming from me. All of that it's my projection. You know, again, it's exactly the same as the water question. Is it
Past.
blood and pus? Is it water? Is it the nectar of deathlessness? It's the projection. Even the world leaders that you're seeing, if you're getting a result, then you planted the seed for that result, and it's the only way you could have ever gotten that result was to have planted the seed for it. And so, you know, that's the bad news is that we're responsible for it. The good news is we can change it.
And
Even your world leaders will change, and it won't necessarily look like it'll look natural, right? Like people will it will happen naturally, and things will change.
yeah, it will not look like you will be famous on this planet for changing its leaders.
Yeah. It's not like you've got to go personally, you know, sit down and have a negotiation with the world leader and say, geez, I think you're ignorant. You know? I think you should stop doing these bad things. And they go, oh yeah, you're right. I'll change. It's not like that.
Yeah, you can do it to yourself. Go to the mirror and say, Jesus, you are ignorant. The world leaders are so ignorant because of you.
Yeah. So
So
and then
it takes time to change the seeds, but the only person that can change is you.
And I will think often of myself that like, for example, in the United States, we're having a problem with our leaders not following the laws of the government. And so then
some of them,
some of them,
unfortunately.
some of them. And so
aspiring leaders.
Yes, the president, the candidate for president who shall not be named. And so Ina and I are looking and saying, okay, well, what laws are we not following? Like what are we doing? What seeds are we planting that we're seeing powerful leaders, right? Not following bigger laws. And like, anyway, we don't have to go through specifics. And so the law that we break, or certainly I was breaking regularly, were speed limits. I routinely started driving faster than the speed limit, knowing not a major crime, but I was doing it over repeatedly.
And why?
Knowingly and without regret.
Because you were thinking that you will not get a fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm thinking, well, there's no penalty in it. Everybody's speeding now. I can speed. And in Chicago, they do. Everybody speeds. But we're planning, your seeds grow, right? And so you go from a small violation like speeding to a big one like somebody selling state secrets for $2 billion.
Yeah.
And people dying as a result. And so Ina and I are super careful now to drive. I mean, boy, people will be behind us, they'll be angry, you're just going the speed limit. That's the law.
You go to the right lane and
yeah,
no problem
and just do it. And so that's how we're trying to change our world. And that way, I know it works because it's the only way you can change your world is to plant different seeds, right?
And it will work. And your leaders of your countries that you are not happy with, they will have to obey. They will have to do what your seeds will tell them to do, because there is no other source of this projection except your own mind.
And so if you're having a problem with the taking of life, you're going to have to be extra careful with protecting life, right?
If you have a problem of fear, or then watch carefully if you are being honest, because strange enough, fear comes from being dishonest. And maybe you will see something bigger on your radar, right? If you have some experience of lying in the past, maybe whole countries or even many countries will start to do something like propaganda, like openly lying about things.
And you're not any different. If you're a human here on this planet, you're not any different than any other human on the planet. Like, we're all here together because we have the same problems. If you were better or worse, you'd be someplace else. So don't feel bad about the situation. Change it.
Okay. Are parts of the fluid the same for every living being, or also different?
Different schools have different ideas on what's actually there that you're projecting onto. And that's
this was, if I remember correctly, Svatantrika. So Svatantrika thinks that that the parts are same, right? Just the projection, what comes from me is different. But actually, guess what? The highest school says that parts also come from you.
Yeah, that the lower schools will say that there's something physically there, like atoms, or then they'll discuss things like partless parts as they get more subtle, because they'll realize atoms have a part, and so then it can't be an ultimate. And then they'll say there's different versions. We can cover it later, but in the highest school, they're going to say that everything exists as a projection onto a reasonable basis. And so then what is a reasonable basis? And they say, well, there's no problem to say that there is a reasonable basis. Like I've got fingers and arms and a chest, and I'm projecting parts, right? I'm projecting an image of Bill McMichael onto this. But if you go looking for what's really there, you won't find it. And so no problem to project an image onto it, but they're going to say that you can't find anything that's ultimately there.
And we will talk more in the second half of ACI too, because there will be some specific proofs of emptiness related to this.
Super fun discussion. Really fun and interesting to look. And then as you do it, you'll realize that there's a problem with our reality. Our reality, it's called deceptive reality for a reason. It looks like it's real, but it's not there the way we think it is. It functions. I mean, you do have pain, you do have pleasure.
Something can kill you.
There's nothing wrong with saying, this is my lovely wife, Ina. Like I'm having an experience of my lovely wife, Ina. But she's not there the way
that it feels like she's separate from
that you think
my mind.
That a human would think she is.
Okay, so, kind of, there are so cool questions. I don't know, maybe very quickly.
We're gonna keep going.
Guys, you can disconnect if you you are in a hurry. Let's try to answer.
I guess this is the after class discussion where everybody's gonna go get a cup of coffee and hang out and talk, right?
Yeah, except I don't want to keep translators too long, so let's try to do a couple questions. Because I know how painful they are. I had the same exact questions, believe me, and you will get all your answers. Even we will not give you today the answer that you're looking for. Believe me, you will get all the answers. Just stick with us and do ACI courses. They're all there.
It's very helpful to have a group of people to talk these things, talk about these things with. Very helpful, fun, right?
So what exists beyond samsara? What exists for an enlightened Buddha beyond samsara? I don't want to go to details. I just want to remind you the definition of samsara. And this is the fact that you have to take on yourself impure parts, dirty parts, in uncontrolled way, we can say, right? Over and over again. Meaning you are forced to take on dirty parts over and over. It means you are not in control of the situation and you have to suffer. So go beyond means you don't have it anymore.
And so
it's not that you stopped existing. Your mind cannot stop existing.
And the Buddhas do have their paradise body, right? They do have their paradise in heaven. And, to be enlightened is to be beyond samsara. And they have those, depending on how you want to divide it, 3 or 4 bodies. And so that's what's there after you're out of samsara. And that's the wheel of life, right? Where death is holding all 6 realms, but Buddha's like up outside of it altogether. It's not that he's gone or she's gone. It's that they're just out of it. They're not taking uncontrolled, painful rebirths anymore.
They still the laws of seeds, they still work, but it is not called karma for the Buddha anymore because he is in complete control of this process.
And no more negative karma for them, ever. Impossible for them.
So you will not disappear and you will have your paradise.
I want an invitation.
Where are the boundaries between my seeds and my husband's seeds? That's a very cool question because there are 4.5. Очень крутой вопрос. Very cool question.
Очень крутой вопрос.
There are 4.5 schools taught by the Buddha himself, explaining this reality. Basically, he tries to give different kinds of explanation how it works. And they are for different audiences, for different audience. Like for people who have less capacity to understand the highest explanation, a little bit more, and every single level develops your capacity. Wherever you are, you plant great seeds. So, and these 4.5 different schools, and the only higher half of the fourth one is correct, they explain in different ways. The first one will say, okay, I have my seeds, he has his seeds. Yeah, we project everything, like karma works, we create the reality. But in the Taoist school, there is no even, actually, there is no emptiness in the Taoist school. They talk about kind of emptiness that is called selflessness, but it's a little bit different. It's emptiness of self. And then higher schools, they will say, okay, he is coming from the same seed I'm coming from, right? Or like they will say, okay, he is, there is, my karma works, creates this body, you know, but Bill, you know, the label that I put onto this form and shape actually does not really exist. I'm making it up. So the changing object exists, but what I think, what I name it, this comes from me. Then the higher will say, okay, there is color and shape, you know, there is a reasonable basis, and 50% is there, and 50 comes from me. And the highest school will say, no, we disagree with that. Everything is my projection. Like the reasonable basis and Bill, you know, like everything comes from me.
And I'm really mad that you projected a sick Bill. Why didn't you project a healthy Bill?
But don't get me wrong. I am also projecting this reasonable basis, you know, and Ina onto this reasonable basis. And you cannot really talk about what your husband projects. Obviously, he has his mental seeds, and there is a projection. But there, when you even ask the question this way, it means you think that there is a little bit self-existing husband over there that does not come from your seeds. You see, every time you ask question, you should ask to whom, who is looking at, because there is no objective reality nobody looks at, you know. There's always to me, to him, you know, to the puppy, to a baby, to a neighbor, to somebody. There is no reality nobody perceives. So I don't know, hopefully it helps.
I think we can let the translators go now.
Yeah, that's it actually. Thank you very much, translators, volunteers, students. Please do the homeworks, and let's see each other on Friday.
Yeah.
For the class 6, one of my favorite classes.
Very much looking forward to continuing the conversation. It's so
more about nirvana.
So much fun to discuss this, because they're really the greatest ideas, not just on the planet, but the greatest ideas possible, right? Super exciting, and very glad we're doing this together.
I will try to project a healthy Bill for the Friday.
Or I will be mad at you.
Will do my best. Okay. Thank you very much, and see you. Bye.
See you next weekend.